Welcome to Tezzeret. As far as our opening hand goes, yeah, we'll keep on this one. We've got some good card advantage with Drawn from Dreams. We have some good, uh, card advantage with Draw from Dreams, and we have good card draw with Perception. Then we've got a couple artifacts, and we also have Ops. So we're going to keep on this one, and we have 3 lands, which is always a nice way to get this thing started. So, all right, we're going to see the Cauldron Cat come down, and that's going to pop us for for 1, put us down to 24. Let's go Island. And yeah, let's go for Totem. That way we can get a little bit of scry action, some scurry, and make Tezzeret happy, because Tezzeret wants some artifacts on the battlefield. So we are playing against Teysa. Yeah, so that's going to be 4, so I really do like Disdainful Stroke on this one. So we're going to leave that on top of our library, and then anything else, pass it over to our opponent. So there we go, kick it back over there. We're playing Tezzeret, +1, create a 1/1 colorless, stop to our artifact creature token with flying. Then for a 0 ability, draw 2 cards. If you have 3 or more artifacts, draw 2 cards instead. Then for a -9, search your library for at the beginning of your end step, search your library for a permanent card, put it on the battlefield, then shuffle your library. And we're going to see Oligarch come down. And so it looks like we're playing against Church of Athreos Teysa, which should be pretty interesting. Let's go for the land drop for the turn. That's going to be Island. And we can go for Treasure Map. I think that would be good, because at least with Treasure Map, we can go for some, we get some scry going, and that allows us to get a few extra treasure tokens once we do get that to flip. So let's just go and pass that back over to our opponent. Play gets Teysa Karlov. If a creature dying causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. So let's say that we have Oligarch out on the battlefield. They have Afterlife for 1. With Teysa on the battlefield, that's essentially going to turn it into Afterlife for 2, which is going to allow them to end up with double the tokens and double the fun. And also, if you're an arena person, if you haven't played, gotten into Magic Online, if you haven't gotten into Commander, if you enjoy decks like Teysa, go to YouTube, type in Church of Athreos Jolt, and you'll be able to see some really good Magic. So it's one of my favorite decks to play outside of Arena. So let's have Karn's Bastion come down. And that's going to put us on, yeah, we need to leave up Disdainful Stroke. So that still keeps us open on Treasure Map to go for, and we can leave up Off. So let's do that. So let's just go and pass the turn to our opponent. We are sitting at 20 live, so we can take some hits from Cauldron and Imperious. But the main thing is we want to stop that Teysa from entering the battlefield, because she really enjoys it whenever creatures die, if you're sacrificing creatures in the name of Athreos. So to make sure that doesn't happen. So it's going to be Witch's Coven. And okay, I was getting worried that like, I know there's like a combo with that, but I can't remember exactly what it is. All right, so this is going to be land on top. That's going to be okay for us. Do we want to just go ahead and draw that? Yeah, let's just go and do that. So let's go and go for Op. We're going to go scry 1. We're going to leave that island on top, because we do want to draw into that. The next turn we can go for Treasure Map, and that'll be pretty good. So we draw to another island. Let's have Island come down. We go for Azor's Gateway. Yeah, that'll be good, because we go Azor's Gateway. That still keeps us open on Disdainful Stroke, and still allows us to either go for Treasure Map and go for Azor's Gateway if we want to go for either one of those. So let's go and pass it back over to our opponent and kick it back over there. Now, as far as this build of Tezzeret, you'll see how we splice this video together, but basically I threw this deck together in about 10 minutes. So after I release this video, or if anybody has any suggestions as far as historic Brawl, I'm going to be making some changes. And okay, so they're going to gain. Okay, I'm just trying to, because I remember seeing something about Cauldron. Sacrifice fruit and return it from the graveyard to the battlefield. Okay. Now, what we may end up doing is, if they go for that again, we have Totem over here. We'll probably end up cracking Totem just to stop that interaction. So that'll be good. So we'll see what else we can end up going. It's going to be Teysa. Let's go for this Disdainful Stroke like I was talking about. Just want to get the commander tax going up on her. Our opponent has missed a few land drops, and so the good thing about this is we're going to be able to really stop that Cauldron Familiar. And once we end up getting, we can actually end up going for Tezzeret next turn and get that card draw going. So I think that sounds like a pretty good plan, because once we get the card advantage going with Tezzeret, it is really hard for our opponent to stop that. So let's do this. So let's go Tezzeret. We are able to counter Teysa, get that commander tax going. So let's go for the 0 ability, draw card. And we have 3 artifacts if you're keeping score at home, 1, 2, 3. And anything else, we're going to go and pass the turn to our opponent. So if they end up going for the Cauldron Familiar, yeah, we're going to end up going for that. So we're going to go for the Sentinel Totem, exile all cards from all graveyards. that goes to the graveyard, if that's correct. Yeah. All right, so we're going to crack Totem because there's no... Yes, definitely going to do that. And that way we can get rid of that that cauldron. There we go. We don't have to worry about that anymore. So, all right. Because with Witch's Coven, they keep bringing it back. They do get a food token. But at this point right now, we've got Chromatic Lantern, we have Midnight Clock. That will really allow us to get these artifacts down and still kind of keep ahead on mana. Profane Procession, exile target creature. Okay, that's not too bad, because we're actually just kind of running more value-based stuff in here. Profane Profession, that's Procession, excuse me. We can kind of play around that. So let's make sure that we get our artifact count up. Let's have Midnight Clock come down. I love this artifact. It's such a cool artifact. Let's go for the 0 ability. We're going to draw 2 cards. Hopefully we can rip into some sort of counter magic that would... Ooh, and then we run into Psy. So now if we go for Psy, that does leave them open for Profane Profession of exiling Psy. Is that what we kind of... We don't really have an answer for it at this point right now. So we can almost leave up Drawn from Dreams if we want to go for. We can go for Zor's Gateway Flip too. And we also do have Treasure Map. So I think at this point what we'll probably end up doing in the Skittering Surveyor is going to give us a land for next turn. Yeah, let's just do that. Let's just go and pass the turn because I kind of want to get Treasure Map and Gateway going, and that's going to allow us to leave up some mana. Unfortunately, we can't go for Perception, but at least next turn maybe we might be able to go for that, especially if we go during our main phase. That'll allow us to like Scurry and Scry for 3. And also, if you've watched some of my arena videos and you don't know what Scry or Scurry is, all the way back in Theros, in which we're actually returning to Theros, so you can see that's been a little bit since we've done that pre-release. But my opponent called Scry Scurry, and so I never corrected them because it was a midnight release and I was really tired, and they opened like an amazing pool and they beat me, and so I'd always call Scry Scurry in my videos, but I have a history of mispronouncing a lot of things, and so I started adding a bunch of stuff to it. That way people knew that I wasn't just mispronouncing it. So, all right, we get that counter on Midnight Clock because I am known to do that. Let's have Island come down, and they are looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're still looking at them hitting the land drop for Teysa. So I think we just go Psy. Because if we end up going Psy, we can actually sequence it to where we can cash in a little bit of extra card advantage. So let's have Psy come down. Let's go for the 0 ability. And then, oh yeah, that's going to be perfect. So we go for Witching Well. That's going to allow us to scry 2 when it enters the battlefield. That's going to give us the Thopter token that we definitely want to see. At this point, we're kind of digging for River's Rebuke at this point. Let's put both of those on the bottom because we already have an island in the hand. Let's have Chromatic Lantern come down. That's going to be an extra Thopter token on the battlefield. Now, what we can do is, normally I'm not a huge fan of, yeah, and let's just go and pass the turn to our opponent. I'm not a huge fan of blocking on Time Taker or any of this Afterlife stuff, but since we do have a lot of Thopter tokens, at least at this point right now, if they do want to swing in, we can definitely make that trade. And hopefully we can make that trade before they get Teysa down. Now, that does put them into the category of being able to go for Teysa if they hit the land drop this turn. So if you're keeping score at home, maybe you want to pray to the magic gods. All right, so they will end up going for Profane Procession, exiling Psy. So that's going to get rid of Psy. I kind of figured that was going to happen. And so that's why we need to be careful about what we end up going for. Now, if we end up making this trade, that's going to be Afterlife 1, Afterlife 1. And yeah, they're simply just going to go ahead and pass the turn. So let's do this. Let's go for a treasure map activation. We're going to scry 1, and that'll put it at 2. And then Traveler's Amulet, I think we're okay with that at this point right now. So let's go ahead and put that on the bottom. We're looking for a little bit better card advantage. So it's going to be an extra counter on Midnight Clock. Let's have Island come down. And we go for the 0 ability. Yeah, we're going to cash in a little bit extra card draw. Because if we end up hitting River's Rebuke, oh, and then Karn. Okay, so, and then if we get Karn down, this is going to shut them off artifacts, which is going to allow us to get ahead again. So let's have Karn come down. Let's go for the +1, which we're going to make, I guess Witching Well is fine. Yeah, that's fine. We're just going to make it a 1/1. And we need to get a few more artifacts down. So if we go Drawn from Dreams, I think that might end up working out. Yeah, let's do that, because we want to dig a little bit deeper into our library. Kasmina is going to work out really well. Karn's going to work out really well for us, too. Yeah, let's grab another Karn, and I guess we just grab Kasmina. because that way we can shut down Teysa and kind of leave her over there. We still have access to anticipate and a few other things, so let's just go ahead and no attacks and pass the turn back over to our opponent. So, all right, so we're going to get extra counter on Midnight Clock. Once we get to that 12th hour on Midnight Clock, that's going to allow us to shuffle our hand and graveyard and library, then draw 7 cards. So if we were worried about us decking ourselves from drawing a bunch of cards, we are at 33 cards in our library. So we are 10 cards deeper than our opponent because they're sitting at 43. That'll at least allow us to hit the reset button, which is pretty nice. So, all right, they're going to be swinging in with the crew. I think we may, because eventually we're going to run into these River's Rebuke. Yeah, let's do that. So that's going to be Thopter. That's going to be Thopter. There we go. And yeah, that's going to give them a couple afterlife triggers, but I'm cool with getting those down because the longer they stick around on the battlefield, if they finally do get down Teysa, that's going to allow them to. We're going to let that resolve. Actually, let's go ahead and go for treasure map. Scribe. We already have an island, so we'll put that on the bottom. That's going to get Treasure Cove to flip, and we have Anticipate to go for. Let's just go and go for Anticipate. We're going to auto pay on that one because that's going to be Chromatic Lantern in a treasure to. Oh, and then there we go. We're looking for a little bit of a late game threat. And the other cool thing with Dream Eater is that we can send Rising Populace back to our opponent's hand. So that's going to be pretty good for us. So it's going to shift us over back to our turn. It's going to be an extra counter on Midnight Clock. We're halfway there. Let's have Island come down. Let's go for the 0 ability with Tezzeret. It's going to be Gilded Lotus and Chemist's Insight. And if we actually go Gilded Lotus, we can actually start going for Beat Sticks on our opponent. I think that'll be pretty good. So let's have Skittering come down. That's going to allow us to grab an island. Yes, definitely want to do that ability. We're going to grab an island that goes into our hand. We've already made the land drop for the turn. I guess we go Karn if we want to. And if we end up going for the -2 ability, because they can swing in, we can block Skittering. Yeah, that'll be fine. We can go for the Artifact token, and then anything else that's going to leave us on Chemist's Insight and Kasmina. We can go for Kasmina, but I think at this point we'll be okay. So let's go for the +1. And we'll go and make Gilded Lotus. We could make it a 5/5, but I think at this point we'll just go ahead and make Witching Well again. We'll make that another 1/1 dude. So, all right, there. Anything else? We can Kasmina on one of these tokens if we want to get another artifact down. Yeah, I think I kind of like that. So, we're going to make one of these spirit tokens a 1/1. The main reason we're doing this is because they swing in 1 at Karn. That's going to allow us to get another construct token on the battlefield. And once we get these construct tokens down, that's going to allow us to really start swinging in our opponent. So, this is pretty much what Tezzeret wants to do. You get down Tezzeret, get down some artifacts, and really just start going to town. And we've got Spirit Token swinging in. Yeah, that's going to be fine. And then we also do have Dream Eater to get down. So once we get down Dream Eater, that's going to allow us to flash that in and send some stuff back to our opponent's hand. And with that Midnight Clock, yeah, we're still doing good. We haven't even hit River's Rebuke yet, so once we run into that, that's almost going to be good game. So is there anything that we need to do at our end step? Yeah, let's go ahead and filter with Azor's Gateway. We'll go ahead and get rid of that Visible Island. That way they don't know what we have. And then it's going to be a counter on Midnight Clock, and we draw into another island. So let's go for the -2. We're going to get that artifact token on the battlefield. That's going to be a 10/10, which is very nice to see. And that's going to be Death Touch. Do we want to play around that Death Touch creature? Let's go for the 0 ability. We're going to draw a couple more cards. Oh, and then Frogify. I think that'll be good. So we go Frogify on Orzhov Enforcer. That's going to make it a 1/1. It's going to make this attack a lot easier. Let's get the land drop down for the turn. Let's go Blink of an Eye. For 2, I don't think we want to draw a card. We're going to send Rising Populace back to our opponent's hand. Let's go for Karn. We're going to make Gilded Lotus a 5/5. And let's go and swing in for 15. I think that sounds like a pretty good plan. And we're going to swing in with Skittering Surveyor too. So there we go. All right, it's coming across on this. And we still have Dream Eater to get that down on our opponent's turn, send something back to their hand. So there we go. We're going to see Orzhov Enforcer die. That should stop that Death Touch from happening. It's just a 1/1 frog, which is kind of funny to think about. We're going to knock them down to 21. And if this is what you came for, if you came to see Gilded Lotus swing in for a 5/5, here we are. So And so it makes Brawl fun. So, but yeah, with Tezzeret, when you combine artifacts with card draw, it just leads to some busted stuff. You add in this other stuff, especially when you have Karn that doesn't allow them to activate their abilities. Whew, that is pretty rough. So they've got these spirit tokens swinging in. So I think at this point, what we'll probably end up doing is flashing in Dream Eater and then bouncing target non-land. Yeah, probably end up bouncing Profane Procession back to their hands. So we're going to be able to surveil for 4. Let's go and put that on the bottom, put that on the bottom, put that into our graveyard because we're going to all get it back. And we finally run into River's Rebuke. So let's go ahead and send Profane Procession back to our opponent's hand. I'm just going to send that back. Yes, definitely want to do that. Pop that back so they can recast it if they want to. Let's go to blocks. We're going to block on the spirit token. There we go. That's going to leave a Dream Eater on the battlefield. And then once we end up going for River's Rebuke next turn, that's going to allow us to just basically kind of close the game out. So let's just go for this. I think that'll work. Actually, no. Well, yeah, we'll just go to our turn. We're going to seal the deal with this River's Rebuke. And this is what makes this deck so good. It's going to be Cyclonic Rift, send everything back. That's going to be us swinging across. Everybody's going to swing in. So we've got 20 points of artifact damage. Skittering Survey is going to knock them all the way down to 0. There we go. Put them down to -4. So good game to our opponent. Huge shout out to our opponent for sticking this one out. I know it's kind of hard when you get a bunch of card advantage going to stick that game out, but thankfully we're able to kind of tempo this one out and use those cards to kind of lock down our opponent's artifacts and lock down some tokens. And then, you have an artifact deck that cares about artifacts. You get a 10/10 artifact and Guild of Lotus swinging it for 5/5. That is a pretty good feeling. So if you enjoyed the video, hey, like and subscribe. All right, bye. Welcome to Mono Blue Tezzeret. And as far as our opening hand goes, yeah, like this is pretty good. We've got to Anticipate, which is going to be some great card advantage. We have Witching Well, which is going to be working towards our artifact count. And yeah, we got a counterspell, so we'll definitely keep on this one. And we're playing against Vraska, so this should be a pretty fun match. Let's go lead off with Island. And I think we go for Witching Well. That sounds pretty good. Yeah, let's do that. So we're going to go Witching Well. Let's get a little Scry and some Scurry. Maybe a little bit of Fever. I think we actually kind of want both of these. So next turn they make a land drop. We're going to draw into Disdainful Street. Yeah, I think we're okay. We'll leave it just like this. So leave both on top. So next turn we'll draw into that island. We'll be able to get that down. That'll be Arcane Signet. That'll also allow us to just basically leave up a counterspell to stop old Vraska over there. At least just kind of get that commander tax going so we can deploy Tezzeret out and then have some fun with that. So, all right, that's going to be Castle coming down. Let's have Island come down. And let's go Azor's Gateway. I think that'll be good. All right, because we're already looking at Tezzeret being able to catch in some card draws, so that'll be pretty good. And then let's pass the turn to our opponent. So we're playing Tezzeret +1. Create a Thopter artifact creature token when flying. Then for a 0 ability, draw a card. If you control 3 or more artifacts, draw 2 cards instead. Then for a -9, you get an emblem that says at the beginning of your end step, search your library for a permanent card, put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle your library. So opponent's going to lead off with a Scorpion. All right. That'll work. And do we want to loot with Azor's Gateway? We certainly can, but I think the better option, honestly, might be to go for Anticipate. Yeah, let's do that. So let's go Anticipate. We're going to look at the top 3 cards of our library, and then we'll see what we can... Yeah, well, this is a tough one, partner, so I guess we just go with the middle island, because that's the one that... I don't know, lives in the middle. So let's have Island. Once again, we still want to leave up Disdainful Stroke against our opponent. So we're going to have Island come down. That's going to be 4, 5 total mana. So I think at this point, what we're going to do is just go for Artificer's Assistant. And once that comes down, that'll leave us open on Disdainful Stroke or Sinister Sabotage on Vraska. And then we get that commander tax going, and we'll be able to deploy Tezzeret out and really start to cash in some card advantage. So we'll see what else they got going on. Play against Vraska. +2, you may sacrifice another permanent. If you do, you gain a life, draw a card. Then for a -3, destroy target non-land permanent with converting mana cost 3 or less. Then for a -9, you get an emblem that says whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, that player loses the game. So, there we go. Now, with Azor's Gateway, if they're going to be swinging in with the Scorpion for 1, that is no problem at all. So we're going to let that come across. I'll put us down to 24. If you came here for Scorpions versus Birds, here you go. It's here to have some fun. Do we want to? Yeah, I think we kind of want to stop this. Well, do we want to think it's going to be a 2-2? Yeah, I think we're cool with this. All right, so we go for Sinister Sabotage on Ravenous Chupacabra. Yeah, because his Artificer's Assistant is actually, oh yeah. We'll grab that Dream Eater and then go over to our turn. So I think at this point, we're just going to go for Tezzeret because we have the necessary requirements. And Historic, yeah, we're going to put that on top because that'll be an extra thing with Artificer's Assistant. So let's go ahead and go for the 0 ability with Tezzeret. We're going to cash in a card draw. Oh, look at that double card draw. Mystic Forge. Not going to swing in with Artificer's Assistant, and then we'll go and pass the turn back over to our opponent. But yeah, with Tezzeret, so what we are playing is Vraska Brawl. Not Vraska Brawl. I'm going to go to the command zone. We're playing Historic Brawl. And so if you didn't know that's a thing, it is a thing. So basically, you just toss together an old Historic deck, and you're good to go. So it's pretty cool. I'll explain a little bit more here in a second. So let's go and lead off with Mox Amber. And that way we can get a little bit of scry off of Artificer's Assistant. Yeah, I think we'll go ahead and leave that island on top of our library. Okay, so we'll have that come down. If we want to make the land drop, we can actually Azor's Gateway with that. So let's go and do that. So we're going to draw a card. We need to exile something. I guess at this point, we'll just get rid of Chromatic Lantern. I think that'll be good. Let's have Island come down. And if we end up going for Mystic Forge, that'll cut us off Disdainful Stroke. But are we okay with that? We'd have Dream Eater to bounce something back to their hand. Yeah, let's just leave up Disdainful Stroke. Let's just go and pass the turn. We hadn't really seen a lot of action on our opponent's side, and if we can just catch Vraska with a quick Disdainful Stroke, I'll feel a little bit better about redeploying Tezzeret, especially the opponent going for Vraska's Contempt. But yeah, you can play Historic Brawl. You can play against your buddies. There's no queues, unfortunately. You can't just log on and play Historic Brawl, at least at this point right now. But if that's something that you want to do and you want to have fun with, you can play with your buddies. The other thing that I will suggest is Merchant created a Discord for finding historic games. So that's pretty cool right there. You know, you can be a streamer, you can be a content creator, you can just be somebody who loves Brawl. Hop in that Discord. I'm gonna try to find a link when I talk about it. So if you don't see the link down in the description below, leave a comment and ask for it, and then I'll try to find the most accurate link. But there's just sometimes to where it's hard to historic Gilded Lotus. Let's go and put that on the bottom right now. But for some reason, those Discord links, they kind of they go bad, if that makes sense. Like they're only good for X amount of hours. We've already made the land drop. Yeah, let's just go and loot with Azor's Gateway. And that's going to be another island. We'll get rid of this last island. And then no attack's going to go and pass it over to our opponent. So now with this Tezzeret deck, I got up early to record Brawl this morning, and I hopped into that Discord, and I threw Tezzeret together in about 10 minutes. So if I'm missing something as far as historic goes, yeah, I do apologize. But at this point right now, we're doing this deck's kind of doing pretty good. So let's go ahead and take an action. Let's grab that island. It looks pretty cool, and then that's going to put us at 6, 7, 8, and then it's going to be, yeah, with the land drop, this could be just enough for Tezzeret. So we're going to go for that again. And we do have River's Rebuke in here too. So that's another way that we can kind of hit the reset button on this deck. So let's have Island come down. Let's go for Tezzeret again. We can opt for 1. Let's go and put opt on the bottom. Well, that'll be a 1. So let's see. If we're going to go for this Azor's Gateway, yeah, that actually 1 sounds pretty good. So we're going to leave that 1 on top. We're going to have Tezzeret enter the battlefield. Let's go for the Azor's Gateway activation. Let's go ahead and exile opt at this point right now. So that's going to be 3 cards that we've exiled. Let's go for the 0 ability. We're going to cash in 2 card draw. Chemistry's Insight, and then not going to swing it with a little bird. So, but yeah, with Tezzeret, I love playing Tezzeret. As you can tell, I've got my Tezzeret avatar right here. I've got my Tezzeret foam finger on as I record right now. It's a little hard to operate the mouse, but hey, I'm a super fan. But the cool thing with Tezzeret is, you know, if you're building an historic deck and you have a lot of artifacts, as these sets go on, you're going to have access to a lot of really good artifacts. And the cool thing about this is you can just set up Tezzeret and just go for some really nice card advantage. All right, so we got Death Baron and Scorpion swinging at Tezzeret. We're going to go and let this go on through because next turn we have Skyscanner to come down. That's going to cash in some card draw. And the main thing that we're concerned about with Tezzeret is as long as we just keep making our land drops, as long as we keep getting ahead on mana, we can basically just keep cashing in Tezzeret to go for 2 card draw. And it makes it hard for our opponent to stop it too, which is always a nice feeling. So we do have Vraska coming down at 6 total mana, so that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's something we kind of do want to keep in mind. But let's make the land drop for the turn. Let's go Tezzeret. We're going to go for that 0 ability. Oh yeah, draw 2 cards, treasure map. And we have to have 5 or more cards exiled. So we've got at this point... How can we see what's... Oh, and then we rip into River's Rebuke. So that's going to be 0, 1, 3. Okay, so let's... 0, 1, 3, so we almost need to get rid of we can get rid of 0, 1, 3, so actually Traverse Amulet would be perfect, because that'll put it at 4, and that'll keep us open next turn for whatever we want to go for. So let's, we did cash in a couple card draw, we have access to a pretty good chunk of mana. Treasure Map might be something we want to get down. If we go for Sky Scanner, that's going to allow us to cash in an extra card draw, and allow us to go for Dream Eater. I think that sounds pretty good. So let's go and put Island on the bottom, and then have that come down, cash in an extra card draw. That's going to be negate. Okay, that's actually going to be perfect for the answer that we needed to get to answer Vraska over there. So I think at this point, we're simply not going to swing in and pass it back over to our opponent. So let's discard 2 cards, and just so we can make the land drop for next turn, I think what we'll probably do is get rid of Drawn from Dreams, because we've already dug pretty far into our library, and hopefully with River's Rebuke, we do need to do a little bit of setting up a Dream Eater if we want to try to close it out, because we do get to the position to where if we're drawing a bunch of cards, we might lose the game. We don't want to do that. So we need to do a little bit of setting up before we end up going for River's Rebuke, but we do have Dream Eater to go for. If they want to swing in with Tezzeret, I think at this point that's fine. We've gotten a lot of really good stuff on our side of the battlefield, and once we have this Azor's Gateway to flip, they're going to bring back Assassin's Trophy and Vraska's Contempt. Yeah, I think at this point, if we want to stop that, Negate's going to be a very good option for that. So we're going to stop once again. And then once we get Azor to flip, once we get Azor's Gateway to flip, that's going to allow us to have a ton of mana on this one. So, all right, Opponent's going to scoop it up on this one. Game's not over just yet, but at this point, we're going to be able to generate a ton of card advantage. We've got Dream Eater coming down next turn. We got River's Rebuke, which is going to send everything back to their hand, and so that's going to allow us to get in a position to where we can close the game out. There's also some times, like when we play the Unesh value trade, that we get just a ton of value down, and it's hard to stop that value. So that's kind of what we had going right now. When you're drawing 2 cards per turn by doing artifacts, oh, that's some good magic. But I will see you in the next game. All right, bye.